The Mystery of BELICENA VILLCA. Third Book. Quest for Uncle Kurt. Chapter 8. I was going then, to the house of my parents, impregnated at that mystical optimism, that only those, who knew themselves reborn experience. Once taken the decision to leave, I just thought in the phenomenon of the fatidic night of January 21st, trying to interpret its transcendental sense. In few minutes I'd reached Oscarillo's, but later, these thoughts would accompany me for many hours in the journey that I'd undertake. 30 minutes later, I was guiding the car through the 200 meters of the driveway, accompanied with my dog, Canuto. My parents, who were preparing the breakfast, were happy to see me, and they expressed it with salutes and laughs. They were trying to erase, with their affection, the remembrance of the lived disaster. I thanked these cajoleries internally, because I needed to acquire reserves of peace and tranquility, in prevision of future adversities. I knew that 1 hour later, when leaving, my mind would be concentrated to analyze all the details of complicated embroilment in which I was involved. "It is a beautiful day to travel," said Dad while he attacked a roasted sausage of appetizing aspect. "Drive carefully, son, remember that in the morning the truck has come half asleep." "Don't worry, Dad. I'll go slowly and in 3 hours, I'll be in Tucuman," I affirmed without much conviction. "Catalina, my sister, give me the sausage with eggs, the steaming diner rolls, and the coffee." I warned, amazed that I was ravenously hungry, and I realized that I had been feeding me bad since many days ago. Feel hungry, if it is possible to satiate it, always a sign of good health. I didn't think more and started to consume the breakfast. The property possesses a wide corridor with a window oriented towards the east, in front of the entry path. But in the mornings we took breakfast in the kitchen. This one is behind the dining room, occupying the south wall that has a great fixed window of 4 meters long with a rustic wood table at par. The whole west wall of the kitchen is occupied by the stove, and the contiguous house. Seated in front of the window and with overlooking to the vineyards, I was taking the breakfast in company of my people, and I relived the nostalgia of many dawns together. But a black cloud was disturbing my spirit. One, as a secret voice, was warning me that probably that was the last breakfast consumed in such pleasant manner. Then, I was fighting to chase such lugubrious presages, masticating fiercely the roasted sausage. "See you soon, Echiro," said my dad. "I'm going to go around the irrigation canals." "Goodbye, Dad." I accompanied him to the back door, and I remained looking at him while he walked away towards the stable searching his old chestnut. Minutes later, I saw him trotting away through the path that runs from east to west, parallel to the main irrigation ditch. I should have gone, but I delayed intentionally because I wanted to talk alone with my mother. I was still in the kitchen, and was enough to do a sign to make that she thoughtfully came to me. This attitude normally would have not drawn his attention, but, when I passed a hand upon her shoulder, and started to talk, a surprised gesture was painted in her face. "Dear mother," I said her fondly, "you should forgive me if what I'm going to ask causes you any pain. You know, son, that what I have is yours." She realized that I was not requesting her nothing material, and her face was now frankly alarmed. "What can I do for you, Echiro?" "Calm down, Mom. You know that I would not cause you any preoccupation if I didn't believe it absolutely necessary." "Cut to the chase, and tell what the hell you want," said my mother, who was starting to lose the calm. "In what year did I born, Mom?" I asked, going to the point. "You know it well. In the year 44. January 30th of 1944. You are 36 years old now." "Well, Mom, listen to me attentively. We never spoke about it, but I want to tell you that I remember a night, more than 30 years ago. I was 3 or 4 years and something, a noise, I don't know what, awakened me. It was late, Catalina was sleeping in the contiguous bed, and in the window, I saw the moon falling from the west. I heard voices, and I got up without dressing, and I went down through the stairs of the hall, debating between the sleep that was shutting my eyes, and the curiosity that was opening them. There were, my father, you and someone who I had never seen before, a tall man, of sharp gaze. I still remember his penetrating gaze, and his height taller than my father, who is 1.80 meters. He was who found me, in the stair, and released an uproarious laugh, before your anxious glance. Finally, there's not much more in my memory. I think that I was in his arms, and I believe to remember that he gave me something brilliant that attracted completely my attention. Then, you put me to sleep again, and the next day the stranger was not there anymore, neither his gift. My mother had paled. We stopped next to the garden game, and I made a mute indication to sit beneath the oak. As years passed by, I continued, I used to remember that night without giving much importance to it. Just in one opportunity, when I was 9 or 10 years old, I dared to ask about it to my father, and his reaction was quite strange. He suffered a great obfuscation and he prohibited me to talk about it, but some minutes later changed, and he tried to convince me that I was remembering a dream, a bad dream, that I had when I was a child. Therefore I never mentioned it again. Till today. Mom sighed and shook her head as if she was awakening from a dream. Why, Ichiro, why 32 years later, you still remember that night? She wondered more to herself than to me, why you are determined to relive a fugacious remembrance that doesn't mean anything for you. Mother, I repeat to you that I don't want to cause you pain. Wait, that I'd not tell you what I want to know, I said with reassuring voice. Just tell 2 things. If that man was of our family, and if he had something to do with the war. Here, I used a firm tone that convinced my mom about the useless that would be to refuse to respond. Look, Ichiro, you're a man now, and you don't ignore the atrocious that has been the war. In the following years of 1945, the tempers were heated and many people had to live escaping. But now is different. Much time has elapsed, it is not convenient to scrabble on it. There was a supplication in the voice of my mother. Mom, you are not answering my questions, and that is bad. Don't you trust in me? Only a silent gaze for answer. You've to tell me what you know, because it is very important for me, for my future, do you understand? I assured with firmly. It was evident that she did not understand, and I decided to be more convincing. I'm living a terrible spiritual crisis, Mom. The destiny has put me in front of a diabolic crossroads, where any error of election means to get lost through the wrong path, full of obstacles and real dangers. Your answers will help to not fail, believe me, Mother. I took her hands with my own, in a desperate effort to infuse him confidence. I don't understand nothing what you are talking about, but I presage that you're really worried, son. I'll tell you what you want to know, and that God forgives me if I commit a mistake doing it. She breathed deeply and continued. Kurt. He came the night of 1947. My brother Kurt was presumed dead, or disappeared in Berlin of 1945. He was really complying a mission in Italy when the war ended. He remained 2 years hidden in a Franciscan monastery in the south of Italy, until 1947, when he came to Argentina, thanks to the support staff for war fugitives that worked with the help of the government of the President, Domingo Perón. But, Mama interrupted, why did he not return to Egypt, to the familiar ranch? The Egyptian government was very protector of the Germans, especially after the foundation of the State of Israel in 1948. It is a mystery. He never wanted to say it, neither the motive of the persecution, because he was only 30 years old. Reasoned my mother ingeniously, and he almost always had diplomatic destinies. But, what was he during the war? I asked, intrigued. Civil or military? Military. Officer Waffen SS. Major or something similar. You must have present that in 1938, I got married with your father, and I came to Argentina, and I lost the contact with him for many years. Kurt was in the 32 Squadron leader, that is to say, Freiheitsführer, of the Hitler Youth, or Hitlerjugend, in the German community of Egypt. Thanks to an arrangement of my father, who for his peerage title, enjoyed of some influence in Germany, in 1938, he went to study to one of the schools in Eppeler, Nationalpolizeischule of Berlin. After that I only see him 3 times, the last was before leaving to Argentina, in the Christmas of 1937. Then 10 years would pass until he appeared here in 1947. During this time, I didn't know much about him, due to, I received letters once a year and never directly. Because Kurt rode to Egypt, and then Stad sent them here. In such way, that I almost don't know anything about his career, just the little that he could send me in the correspondence of his student days, and less during the war, in which he showed himself sparing with the others. I know that in the school Napoli, he stood by his knowledge in languages of the Middle East, and this helped him to realize many special grades, but I don't know specifically in what consisted. I remember that in his early days he was happy, because they permitted him to enter in a division of the school Napoli called, if I'm not mistaken, Flight where was imparted the air training. But, I repeat you that, I know very little about him after his graduation in 1937. He entered in some special division of the SS, but, for what I am aware, he never fought. His function was related to the exterior service, because he spent almost all the war in Asia. And that's all. In 1945, he was presumed officially dead, because his destiny, it was said, was Berlin in the month of April, when that city fell in hands of the Russians. His corpse was found, in a chart plane that was not able to take off, due to, it received a Russian shot of ordnance. We were notified, continued my mother, about his dead and many cried him until that in 1947, surprisingly, he made himself present here. The rest I've already told you. He was aided by the Kameraden, and with a new identification, he was prepared to begin another life in Argentina. According to what he said in that opportunity, it was preferable to disappear forever, because if the Allies suspected about his existence, they would not delay to search him. I think that is a decision that we must respect, don't you think so? She was looking at me hopeful in that my curiosity be satisfied. I decided to go on interrogating before her reaction. Yes, ma'am, I comprehend it and I appreciate what you have told me, but is missing the main thing. Where is my uncle now? I shot at him and it seemed as if the question would provoke a swoon. Echiro, my son, you're adult and smart, why do you ask what the Prudence counsels not to know? He is fine. Nobody has troubled him in all these years, and it'd be desirable that no one do it before his near death. Something passed through her mind, and she stood at me open-mouthed. You are not thinking to go and see him? Oh no. You must take out that idea from your head. He has lived 35 years in same site, and everybody knows him by his new personality. It'd be awkward to put in danger such coverage for a caprice. It is important for me to talk with him to obtain some information that is possible that he possesses, and that is as vital for me as the pure air that I breathe. About the security you don't have to worry, in what can affect him the visit of a stranger for just one time in life. There are thousands of justification reasons to receive a guest that then he'd never see again. Because that is what I'll do, ma'am, I swear. Once I ask him what I want to know, I will leave and I'll never return. I was trying to convince her with any argument and she, hesitating, looked to the vineyards as searching the protection of my father. Come on, ma'am, tell me where is he? I've the right to see my uncle once in my life. Finally, she was decided, although, showing great contrariness, and while she was speaking, far to rejoice for my persuasiveness, I accursed internally the pain that I've caused her, and the anguish that undoubtedly would produce this confidence, at least until the return from my journey. He is very near from here, in the province of Catamarca. I've never visited him, because, He prohibited it expressly, although he gave me the direction for a case of emergency. I gave her a card and the pen, checking that my mother had memorized the address. In these 35 years, you've not seen nor written him? I asked, incredulous. She smiled while was giving me back the card and the pen. Yes, silly. We've seen him with my father some few times, in Salta once, and in Buenos Aires, for holidays. But we never wrote him. He writes us 2 times a year, to a mailbox that your father has in Cerrillos, and tells us, when he'll go to Salta, occasion that we utilize to meet a few hours. They don't reach to 20 the times that I'd seen him during all these years. It was difficult for me to believe that 2 separated brothers by just 350 kilometers could not visit each other for reasons that nobody remember, occurred 40 years ago and at thousands of miles of distance. Nevertheless, I justified the fears of my mother, and I comprehended the effort that she had to do to yield to my request and confirm me her secret. Suddenly, I remembered my father, and I trembled in advance, calculating the rage that would feel at knowing my impertinence. Mom would not hide my thoughtless requests, and he'd fly off the handle. The shame covered me, and I should have to swear to no go to Catamarca. I decided to avoid any discussion and leave immediately. I kissed my mother in the brow, and I went to the car. She didn't notice my hurry because, before I put the motor in march, she screamed, "Wait, Echiro. Wait some minutes, that I'll give you something." She entered in the house, and even for my impatience, I had to wait 10 large minutes. Finally, she came back with a letter in the hand. I wrote some lines for Kurt. "You're so hasty that you don't think that he doesn't know you. He saw you 5 minutes when you were a child. How do you think that he'll remember you?" She gave me the letter, that I received gratefully due to, I admitted, it'd be of great help to identify myself. "Open the right hand, and put the palm upwards," said Mom with a between mysterious and accomplice. I did what she was asking me, and she opened her left fist, which she had closed all the time. Something fell in my hand, that in the first moment, I could not distinguish. Was a brilliant object, and while I examined it I was hearing amazed. "This is what Kurt gave to you, the night of 1947. I took it while you were sleeping fearing that you could lose it playing, and I kept it in my jeweler. With the pass of the years, it was difficult to give it to you, because you'd have asked explanations that we could not have given you. He wanted to give you a gift in that moment, but he had not brought anything, because he ignored that to have a nephew. He remained unmarried when he saw you, and he felt moved and said that, as he had no children, you'd be his only nephew, who had to keep it." I was looking amazed, the iron cross with swastikas and oak leaves that I had in my hands, and I was wondering how an officer who never fought obtained the highest honor that Germany gave to reward acts of heroism and courage. "See you soon, Mother," I saluted through the window of the car. "Don't worry, that I'll be prudent. Say bye again to Dad and Catalina. Bye. Bye." I started the car, and some minutes later, I was in the route.